Every woman is born biologically differently, and we lose a different number of eggs over time. Some of us find out we have a low ovarian reserve. That means there's not that many eggs left. As you get older, the quality of your eggs also reduces.
Gloria Steinem once said, "We will never solve the feminization of power until we solve the masculinity of wealth." Barbara Provost and Maggie Nielsen are the team at Purse Strings that will help you navigate the ins and outs of financial independence so that you can be financially fearless. This is Women in Money, the shit we don't talk about.
Welcome to this week's episode of Women in Money, the shit we don't talk about. I'm so excited to share this with all the ladies out there. Our guest today is Aliza, and she is creating an amazing company, so I'm excited to share this with everyone. But before we dive in, could you introduce who you are and what you do to the community?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Maggie and Barb, for having me. I'm very excited to be here today and to discuss women and money. I come from a background of events, and I have been planning events for the past 10 years. I've been very fortunate to work with some amazing brands such as Prada, Harper's Bazaar, Michael Kors around the world in different countries. And now I'm bringing my event planning experience to the fertility space while I host egg freezing retreats in Mexico City. Our egg freezing retreats are just more supportive, more communal, and a better experience in egg freezing. And they were born after I froze my eggs in Canada and spent a lot of money doing it. And so I wanted to create a better experience for women.
Yeah, this is going to be super exciting. And so you're from Canada, right? But you're recording this right now in Mexico?
Correct. Yes, I'm here in Mexico City.
Okay, awesome. And so let's just start at the beginning. What made you think about even freezing your eggs, and what was the moment where you're like, okay, I should probably start looking into this?
So I was about 30 when I started hearing about some of my friends that were going through IVF, and I'm 36 now. So that was about 6 or 7 years ago when this was not a hot topic, and I really didn't know anything about it. I had two friends going through IVF, and I thought after their struggles, let me get ahead of the game. I was really proud of myself for diving into that information, which was so unknown at the time. Unfortunately, the pandemic happened and my plans got pushed back, and there was always something more pressing to spend my money on or more, needed my attention at the time. Whereas obviously fertility, as it does for many women, seems like I'll think about that later topic. So I didn't actually end up freezing until I was 33. When I did freeze, I ended up getting 3 eggs, which was disappointing. The whole process it was there's a lot more information now, which I love, but it all came as a surprise. I started this journey years ago. It only came into action a few years ago, and now I want to take it to the next level to help other women get through what were barriers for me.
It is interesting about that 8 years now of how much information has come out. And even on my Instagram, I get all these ads of we'll freeze your eggs for free if you donate half of them. And it is becoming so mainstream. And it's just interesting how that has happened in just 5 years. It hasn't even been 20 or something like that. It's been really quick. And so I know you've said before that you wish you paused and thought about that decision a bit more. If you could go back and tell past you, what would you tell past you before you swipe that credit card?
So I think there's a lot of information out there. And as we know, a lot of information means a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusing information, and sometimes too much information is just not helpful either. It just overwhelms us. And as women in our 30s, which is the target of where these women are, 30s and early 40s, we have so much pressure in our lives already. We have aging parents, we have little ones maybe, we have homes that we're trying to buy, we have financial pressure, we have our career should be set pressure. So I just think that there's already so much pressure on us, and now fertility is another aspect of that, another thing for us to worry about. And then of course it's so expensive. So That comes with like a lot of stress. And in North American life, I think we can be living in a chronic state of stress and not even know it. It's very normalized to be angry at traffic, to be stressed over being late, to keep your friend waiting 10 minutes at the coffee shop. And it's like, that's not a crisis. But if I could go back, what I would do is tell myself to slow down. With doctors and with the fertility process, often the narrative is like, now is the best time. 5 years ago was the best time. And so people are really racing against this biological clock to get their eggs frozen. And yes, there are biological aspects to it that at the moment science is saying we can't change those things. And as you age, these eggs are getting lower quality. However, if you're going to be under a massive state of stress, if you're hating your job, your life is a mess, you're going through another health issue, which I was, and your body is in this fight or flight, then it's just probably not the best time to freeze your eggs. And I've told that to women who've come to me and discussed their situation with me, and I've asked them to wait until their big project with work is over, or they have a little bit more space to dedicate home cooked meals. If you were spending a lot of money doing this, I spent $16,000 plus freezing my eggs. If I'm going to do it again, I want to throw everything like at it just to make sure that it's going to be the best result ever. So I would go back, tell myself to slow down, ask myself, is this truly the right time? Ask myself if there's space in my life for this. And this is a big financial decision. It's also investment in your future, and it is the health of your future kids. So wouldn't you want to give it the best chances in mind, in body, in emotions, in spirit, in community? And I think I wish I had thought about that a little bit more.
I have some questions about that. So, from someone who's not familiar with this process at all, I'm just wondering, like, what was your intention? So, when you said I only had 3 eggs, like, what is the intention when someone freezes their eggs? Like, what's a good number? How long can you freeze them for? What's the cost to keep them frozen? What's the process? It's probably, if you could just kind of sum it up for some of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a lot of information, and every woman's like reacts differently. Every woman is born biologically differently, and we lose a different number of eggs over time. So for some of us, when we find out, by the time we get the education and the courage to go get these tests, some of us find out we have a low ovarian reserve. That means there's not that many eggs left. And then depending on certain factors like how many follicles you'll have, it also decides kind of how many eggs you can expect from each round. Now, if each round is costing you in the US, let's say $20,000, you want to make sure you can get a lot of eggs per round. Otherwise, you have to do it again. And that's not always discussed up front. As you get older, the quality of your eggs also reduces. So you need more eggs. So it's like this catch-22, because when you're younger, you have healthier eggs, you have more eggs, but you probably don't have $20,000. And then as you get older, you might have $20,000, but now you need more eggs. So that 20,000 becomes 40,000 or 60,000. So education is so important on this topic. It's so scary. I get it to everyone listening, like, my God, I really understand, but information is power. And I think you guys know that even with finances, like not looking at your bank account, not knowing what your bills are is not helpful. And it's the same with fertility. Even if it sucks, rip that Band-Aid off so you can take action. And so with women, to answer your question, Barb, they say right now, the science says that like 15 to 20 eggs, if you're under 35, is a good number. If you're between 35 and 40, it's more like 25 eggs. And then if you're over 40, you want like 30 plus eggs. And these numbers are like approximates. They slightly differ in source to source. But for somebody like me who got 3, like you're talking about several rounds there. And not even to mention how invasive the process can feel, and that you're injecting yourself with medication and hormones. So up front, I wish I had known a little bit more about the whole process, and that if I did need a second round, then I could have just done all my rounds in Mexico. because then I could have financially prepared. Hey, I'm going to need 2 to 3 cycles. Let's just do this in Mexico where it's cheaper instead of now half my eggs are in Canada, half my eggs are in Mexico. And I think that was left out of the conversation when we started.
And the other thing I know you've talked about before is the quantity versus the quality. And it's hard because you can measure the quantity, but you can't always measure the quality. And so it might be 3 great eggs or it might not be, and you're just unsure, right?
Yeah, exactly. There are some technologies with AI that they're starting to. So, with my eggs at the time, and I'm sure now it's been like 2 years, so there's a lot more technology around it, but they can compare your eggs to like eggs that ended up fertilizing and turning to embryos just based on a picture. So, there are some indications, but yeah, you can't really measure the quality of an egg. And I think the medical community focuses on quantity is just because it increases the chances that we have a good quality egg in there. And we know that like lifestyle contributes to the quality of the egg. And that's where my retreat really tries to get women away from stressing about the number of eggs they get because it can be really disheartening and then it can actually induce a cycle of fear and just make the whole process worse on your body. What I want women to do is feel empowered that even if they get a few eggs, let's make them the best eggs possible. So, how can we do that? Through nutrition, through lifestyle habits, through stress reduction, engaging with other women in this community that are going through the same thing, because there is a massive grieving process for us women that maybe thought we'd have 3 kids by 30. And now we're sitting here injecting ourselves at 36, not ideal, wondering if we'll even ever use these eggs with a partner. It's often marketed as like an empowering experience, egg freezing, but I think what we try to address is there's a lot of grief in it as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a very emotional cycle of work on your body. So, and very empowering as well. A woman's body is just so incredible what it can do. Wow. So, a lot of women, like we're talking about, racing against the clock, racing against their bank account. So, you're in Mexico doing this because the cost of freezing your eggs in the U.S. is more expensive. Is that right?
Correct.
So, tell us more about how you've structured your retreats now in Mexico.
Yeah, absolutely. So logistically, we structure them to, as I mentioned, like with all that pressure, just take some of that pressure off the women. And we do that in a few ways. One is you come to Mexico and everything's pretty much logistically arranged for you. And so you can just show up. And we have, before you even get here, we do 3 webinars with our fertility doctors at our clinic. So you have like none of your questions go unanswered. So immediately before you even get here, you have all your questions answered, and they're just exclusively for our group of women. And they go through not just the egg freezing process, but sperm donors, fertilization, IVF, and egg donation. Because I find like with my process, I found out about the next step every time I was at it. So this time I want women to know everything, even the good, the bad, the ugly, what egg drop off rates mean, when to expect them, and come into it knowing like this is going to happen. So just brace yourself. Everyone's going to lose eggs. There's not one person that's going to be like, I started with this many eggs and they all went through the whole process and they all came out great. So brace yourself. And we're going through this together. You have a guide, an in-house guide. You also have a 24-hour clinic manager from the fertility clinic that's there just for our group. You have a nurse coming to your house every day to do the injections, which is like a huge barrier for a lot of women who don't want to inject themselves 2 or 3 times a day. We have daily stress reduction activities to adjust the nervous system and make sure that you're feeling calm. So we have guided meditations, yoga classes, sound baths, workshops, so that this is all in-house. So you don't even have to leave the house. You can just do it either on our rooftop or we have somebody come in. And then we also have science-backed activities to help you optimize your results. So we include acupuncture, massage therapy, red light therapy. These things are proven to help fertility outcomes. You do it with a group of 10 women, which is obviously amazing. And of course, the cost. So a huge factor of it was that this is a very expensive process in Canada and America. And I wanted to make sure that it was somehow going to be more accessible for women. And so even when you pair up all the entire retreat, including a flight from a major city in the US or in Canada, and your travel insurance, altogether, it still comes to about half the price of what it would cost to freeze your eggs in America with 5 years storage. So building this holistic retreat to become a no-brainer for women where you get a better experience, it's cheaper, there's other women doing it with you. And with the costs, it's also not just cheaper now, but the future costs are also important. If you come back and use the eggs, full IVF cycle in the US can cost 25 to 30,000. In Mexico, a city at our clinic, it costs 8. So we're talking about future savings as well, which can really run you a lot in the long run. But upfront, you're saving about $9,000 to $10,000 per cycle. And we also discount future cycles if you decide you want to do more than one cycle to reach your desired egg count.
So when you talk about the cycle, how long is that cycle? Like a regular menstrual cycle time frame?
So you have to be in Mexico City for 3 weeks. So you fly in from start to finish. And then the actual procedure, like the actual weeks of stimulation and the retrieval, which is a surgical procedure, takes 2 weeks. But we just leave some bookend time so that, you can properly, adequately recover and that you can also like settle in and have some group activities. We do plan some gentle outings in Mexico City. We have movie nights. We have like the Frida Kahlo Museum. We do music, drawing classes and violin nights and stuff. So we're also just giving you like a little mini vacation as well. So 3 weeks from start to finish, and you can feel comfortable that you'll be ready to fly.
Yeah, that sounds super relaxing and just enjoyable. But also, I guess from my perspective, it'd be like there's a little bit of like grieving that you might not have a partner to do it with. You're not at that point. And so to have these other empowering ladies around you and have that community and have that support, I'm sure your emotions are a little high too from some hormones. And so all those things going on, it's really great to have that community around you who relates, because I know not all your girlfriends are going to understand what's going on or what you're going through. And so to really have that community around you, I think could make a big difference. And I'm sure that would be almost fun later to see like your little kids grow up together and know that we did this together on this journey in Mexico. And so do you have to do the IVF treatments where your eggs are frozen in that country?
Yeah, so moving your eggs is not recommended, like even clinic to clinic within state to state. It's expensive, it's risky, it's just not recommended across the board. So you would have to come back to use them, or that would be our recommendation. And yeah, that's a question we get asked a lot. If I freeze them in Mexico, well, now they're in Mexico. But that's a great thing because our storage, for one, with our retreat, we include 2 years of storage. And every year after that is $250 right now. So my storage, when I first froze my eggs, was $450, and then it went up to $750. And the average storage in America is between 500 to 1,200 US dollars. If you're storing your eggs for 5 years, that's already like $6,000 in storage. That's like a hidden cost you wouldn't know. And that's at this moment. So that go up. So yeah, the storage is much cheaper here in Mexico. And over time, 5 years, you have 2 included, and then 3 more years would just cost you $750. And then of course, if you come back and use those eggs, which not all women who freeze their eggs do. This is just a tool. It's a little bit of a backup plan. We stay away from calling it insurance because it's not guaranteed. You still have to go through the process, and our science is still not in a place where it can guarantee that a live birth will come from these eggs. But there is a benefit to keeping the eggs here financially.
And so coming at it from like a business perspective, what was one of the biggest money lessons you've learned from taking like, this is my experience to now like, this is my startup?
Okay, so I think that's a good question. I think like any business, you think it's a great idea and you're like, I had this problem, so everybody must have this problem. And you have to make sure that there is like, that other people are experiencing this. And before you run away with it and you put your heart and soul into it, you move to Mexico, like, is this a real problem? And do your market research. And so for me, I really wanted to make sure that other women were feeling the same, that the process was clinical, overwhelming, emotional, and expensive. And if these were big enough issues, would they travel to Mexico to solve them? Because that is a barrier. Travel is a barrier. And so I had to really understand if that was going to be something that translated from just my experience to, oh my God, there's a whole bunch of women experiencing this. Let's solve it.
Yeah. It seems like a tough one because you never know if that's in the back of someone's mind or if that is something they're thinking about. It's not just like you post on Facebook, like, who knows a good spot to freeze eggs? It's usually very private. And so you don't always know if that's on someone's mind or not, or what their experience was.
Yeah. So how did you do your research on that?
So I did post in some places, like when I first was trying to understand, okay, is this something that other people are also experiencing? Like if I put together this package, who would be in? And I like on 2 posts, I remember like I had 100 replies each. Okay, but still, that's like, okay, great. People are interested, but will they convert? Will they pay for it? Will they come? And then I started to do like posts on Reddit. I asked friends. I talked to people who had worked at fertility clinic. There's a lot of information on IVF, but there's just not as much on egg freezing. And so at some point I did have to take like a leap of faith and say like, okay, I think this is actually going to work. But of course, for my first retreat, I did recruit women that I never met before, and they did trust me, and they paid, and they're coming, and they're arriving in 3 weeks for our first retreat. And so that to me was a testament that like women are looking for another option. And of course, now that I've started it and we've launched it, there are so many people that are just coming at me from all angles, excited about this path. So there's a lot of gratitude, yeah, in being able to do something that other people are excited about and possibly helps them.
So, what would you say to a woman listening right now who's thinking about freezing her eggs but is stuck between the cost and the pressure and unknowns? Or what's your pep talk?
Okay, the pep talk is like, there's no crisis. First of all, just slow down. Let's take everything one by one. Obviously, I would recommend her. We have free consultation calls and they're with me. And that's because I want women to get like the best experience. I want them in America right now. It's difficult to even have a fertility consultation. You have to spend anywhere from $250 to $500 just to get a consult and sometimes even just to access their prices. So for me, it was really important that women are able to just have this consult call, talk things through, and if it feels good, then they can go from there. But how are you even supposed to take first steps if A, it costs a ton of money, and B, you don't know which clinic to pick, and C, like it's just overwhelming. So you can always set up a free consult call with us. I'm happy to share all the information we have about our egg freezing retreats, as well as just information I know woman to woman as like a human being that's been through it. And then I always suggest you get your initial results, blood work done, and like an ultrasound done, a vaginal ultrasound done, so we can assess like, okay, where are you in this journey medically? Because there's no point about freaking out if we don't have all the information. I've had people freak out and get the results back and they're like, oh my God, hallelujah. And then I've had other people that like just didn't care at all. We're like, I'm going to be fine because my mom was fine and my sister was fine. And then they get the results back and they're like, oh my God, I didn't know. And so then we can work towards taking the next step with getting your results. And then I remind you always not to interpret your results on your own. ChatGPT is not a doctor. Set up a medical consult with one of our doctors. So our medical consults are $40 and they're credited back to the treatment if you move forward with it. So that's like very accessible for people to get more information, even if they don't want to move forward with it. So with the Fertility Co-Living, you get 50% off your medical consults with our partner clinic. And then from there, you can make decisions on how you want to move forward with your fertility. But so many women are still getting pregnant naturally. So many women are still getting IVF later in life successfully. And if you freeze your eggs now, you're freezing time. So who knows when you go to unfreeze them, what the science will be in 5 years. We've come so far in 5 years. And there's just no reason to panic about a future that hasn't happened yet. I just want everybody to feel more empowered, more present, And this can be a difficult journey, but you don't have to do it alone and you don't have to do it in panic and fear. So that's our mission.
Love it. Yeah. So, you've created all these wonderful programs for these big names, and now you're applying that same concept to your retreats. It sounds like you're building such a luxury retreat with all these different workshops and experts and all. How are you doing that? How are you gathering these professionals and these experts and packaging all this together? Are you working with other businesses, or how are you making this happen?
I come from years of experience of creating luxury events on very small budgets. And so it's important to have power partners, and women love to help women. We're really allies in this community. And so I definitely am trying to reach out to people that I think are a good fit, share the same mission, would have the same audience, want to get together and create something great. I did pick every experience that was built out of a friction I had, an obstacle I faced along the way. But I did pick the ones that mattered the most or would have the highest impact. So we have a beautiful co-living in the nicest area of Mexico City. It is a penthouse, a luxury accommodation. This matters. You want to wake up and feel good. My years of experience in event planning has really come in handy here because I know exactly where to spend the money. I know where to incorporate power partners and things that might not make a difference now, but could be better down the line when we have a little bit more momentum. And that has just been planning this retreat versus planning a dinner for a member of the royal family or Victoria Beckham or much less stressful. This is much less stressful. So it's almost like very peaceful for me. And of course, it's a passion. It's something I love. So it comes from a space close to my heart.
I might just need to freeze my eggs to get to this penthouse suite and do a nice little sound bath. It sounds so relaxing. I mean, it sounds great. This has been so much just interesting information, and I'm so glad we were able to just have this conversation, as I know it's on a lot of women's minds. I know they're probably getting the ads like I am as well. And so it's just so interesting and just how the science has come along. So I'm so glad we've been able to have this conversation. Did you have another question, Barb?
I do. What is the name of your retreat?
Yeah, great question. It's called the Fertility Co-Living. So we have Instagram, our website, and all the links.
Okay, just want to make sure we had your name out there.
Yeah, we'll get all that in the bio and all that, of course, too. Fertility Co-Living. We ask this question to everyone, so we've got to ask it for you. With all, your health and your personal and professional experience, what does financial freedom mean to you?
Financial freedom means buying your time back. So through years of living around the world in countless cities, backpacking for a year, digital nomading for like 8 years, I've learned that the best moments are just when I have time in my day to pursue what I love and brings me joy. And they don't require a lot of money. They're not expensive things. And so I'd love to be in a place where I can earn enough, give away enough, and live just a happy life. Is that too cliche of an answer?
Not at all. No, I get it.
Yeah.
It's great. Well, we appreciate you coming on and sharing this. And so I know you have a retreat going in July. And then when is your next retreat after that? Is it December?
We have one coming up on November 16th, and the deadline for that is August. So like the first week of August 8th, I believe it is. And then we have another one coming up in January after the holidays. So it starts January 11th. And that one is going to be like mid-October is the deadline. So we'll be accepting 10 women for each retreat.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll make sure we get those links in case this is something people want to jump into or just inquire about and start getting that information. There's no rush. There's no pressure, but it's there if you want it. So thank you again for coming on and sharing your expertise. And until next time, be financially fearless. You've been listening to Women in Money, the shit we don't talk about. Now it's time to take what you've learned and make bold moves towards financial independence. Stay in the know by joining our newsletter for exclusive tools, resources, and updates that keep you financially fearless. Head to pursestrings.co and sign up today. Need a financial professional who gets it?
turn to Purse Strings' curated directory, your go-to resource for financial experts who know how to put you first. Love this episode? Leave us a review and help us empower even more women to own their financial power. Until next time, be financially fearless.